All right, how y'all doing?
Good.
Good. Who here has heard me? Raise your hand. Okay, only 3 people. That's good. I'm going to apologize in advance. I'm from South Louisiana. You can tell, Cajun, I swear, I curse. Say inappropriate things sometimes, not on purpose. It's just how I was raised, right? No judgment. And you think I'm mad, wait to hear my wife's on. But, thank you guys for inviting me. I love being in rooms like this because you can't talk about the things that we're going to talk about here in the next hour amongst the public. Because building wealth is almost become what, taboo? You go around trying to talk about building wealth and making money to just anybody that's not on that journey, they will rip your heart out. So first and foremost, you need to give yourself, some grace for being here, because this takes a lot of courage to come in a room like this in the first place to build wealth, because it takes courage to do this. Because I ain't gonna bullshit you, this shit is really, really hard. I've been at this journey for 22 years. Started my first business out of the back of my truck when I was 22, doing on-site oil change. I was in college and I scaled that to 4 locations. Exited, got bought out in 2017 by Express Oil, and then went to Walmart on real estate. And, started from scratch in real estate, literally just putting out band signs, going to rooms like this and getting information, hiring mentors. Built what I built today from putting out 300 to 500 band signs. And scale into the operation I have now. So I'm gonna start off. Look, I'm not as optimistic as I think it was who's the guy talking about? Brandon. Yeah, about the economy and all that. Was that you talking? No. Is he still here? Okay. So look, I'm not as optimistic as he is. And I'm gonna tell you why. There's been 2,000 currencies in the past 2,000 years. You know how many of them survived? None. 0. Not one of them. We're watching, I say, a lot of history. I'm a big history buff. I studied the rise and fall of the Roman Empire, the rise and fall of Germany, the Weimar Republic of the 20s, Colombia, Venezuela. And, I'm pessimistically optimistic. And I don't want to bullshit myself. And that's one principle you're going to hear a lot from me here is not bullshitting yourself. Because a lot of people bullshit themselves and they're overly optimistic about everything. And you should be cautiously optimistic. So, I'm going to give you guys some fundamentals that I had to come up with as an investor to help me navigate how to become successful at this, how to build wealth in real estate. Because, frankly speaking, there's a lot of bad information online, right? If you watch all the guys on Instagram and Facebook, you got to have a 6-pack and drive a Lamborghini to be successful. Well, I know all those guys are absolutely full of shit. And I've spoken on stages with a lot of them. And I can tell you don't need a 6-pack to be successful. You don't need to drive a freaking Lamborghini. Okay. So first and foremost, let's go over some basic fundamentals, because the basic fundamentals is what's going to save you. In real estate, you have certain time periods of transaction, right? Certain time periods of transaction period where a lot of people get hung up, because who here has read Rich Dad Poor Dad? Right? What's the main theme in that? Buy what? Assets, right? And that is true to a certain degree, because I read that book back in 2010, and I was like, shit, buy assets, I already naturally do that. But as I progressed in real estate, and by the way, who here wants to be a professional real estate investor over the next 10 years? Because that's what I'm going to show you, how to be a professional real estate investor. You have to understand this basic, and I coined this to I'm not that bright, I'm not that smart, I barely graduated high school, cheated my way through college, my wife screwed all my papers. I like basic. I'm a basic dude. I'm simple, right? What is fast money? That's going to be things that transact on a 30-day basis, a weekly, bi-weekly, or daily, right? That's going to be what? Wholesaling. That's right. That's going to be your W-2 job. Small business. And I can barely spell, so don't judge me. A broker, a realtor. Who here is wholesaling regime? Who here is a realtor regime? Who here is a buying home guy regime? Who here is a flipper regime? Okay, so get an idea. So this is fast money, right? This transacts on a 30-day basis. Now, media money. What do you think media money is? This is going to transact on a 3 to 6 month basis. What do you think that is? That's right. Flipping, contracting, GCing. Usually get paid every 3 to 6 months as a GC. Small land development deals. All right, now we got slow money. Slow money transacts on a year, 2 year, 3, even 5 year basis. What do you think that is? That's right. You don't really make a whole lot of money in rentals right when you buy them. You got to buy them, fix them, stabilize them, pay down the debt, get the depreciation, get that equity over time. It takes time before you can actually make a good amount of money. What else is slow money? Well, a new build is going to be under 3 to 6 month basis. It's going to be a new build, depending on the size of the house.
Development.
That's right, development.
Gold and silver.
Gold and silver? Yeah, you'd be wrong. Who said that? Yeah, I would say so. I've never heard that. That's from a purist standpoint. I'm trying to stick to real estate, but yeah, you're right. That is going to be a slow money investment for sure. But developing, right? I develop neighborhoods. We don't get paid on some of these neighborhoods that we develop, for 3 to 5 years sometimes. Fastest one we ever did, I think, was maybe 18 months, if everything goes right. But it's big money, right? It's big risk. You make millions of dollars doing that. The problem with, the whole formula, pay, buy assets, where do you think everybody starts in real estate? Most people. I would disagree.
Single family rentals.
What do you think? When they go and they read Rich Dad Poor Dad and they go online and I want to live off my what income, my passive income, right? So everybody gets, oh shit, I'm gonna just go straight to rents, right? And I've been coaching now for about 9 years, and I've watched this. This is not my opinion. This is actual observation. So a lot of people start with rentals, including me back in 2010. I read Rich Dad Poor Dad, I'm gonna buy a bunch of rentals, and I need to quit my job and go to the beach and live off my passive income. And so I realized passive income ain't passive, right? So now that you understand a basic fast money and slow money, and look, this is gonna seem a little slow, but I have to get to this so you get the point across. Most people start with slow money and end up blowing themselves up before they understand what I call the progression chart as a real estate investor. Just like you go to elementary school and learn the ABCs and the 1, 2, 3s in school, if you don't know how to do the ABCs and 1, 2, 3s, you can't read and write. There's the same thing in real estate. There's skipped gradients in real estate that a lot of people don't understand. Now, elementary school is going to be direct to seller marketing, which is essentially what? Wholesale. Buying at a super distance, learning how to buy right. You make money when you what? When you buy. If you don't get that shit right in the beginning, it will screw up your whole career. How do I know? I almost went bankrupt twice trying to buy off, MLS or, buying from realtors that say that's a good deal. Listen, if I can't steal it legally, morally, and ethically, I don't buy it. There's got to be a grand theft auto deal. And I know these guys are thinking crazy. And that's look, and you can't say that, out loud. I say it all the time. I get a lot of flack for it. But I'm not here to sugarcoat shit. I'm not here to tell you what you want to hear, but what you need to hear. You gotta better slit throats and kiss babies all at the same time in this business. It doesn't mean you're unethical. It means you're brutally honest. A lot of these guys, I'm listening to their conversations. I know why they're successful. Because they do the same thing. I'm brutally honest. Man, if I give you $200,000 for this house, how am I going to make money? And I go through all the numbers. I show them this is the rehab cost. This is what, if everything goes perfect, days on market, realtor fees, carrying costs, insurance. If I give you what you want based on these numbers, I'd be lucky to make 10 grand. You think it's worth my time making 10 grand and the risk I'm going to take? I got 5 kids and a needy wife. You think that's going to work out? And you explain and you come with absolute confidence, certainty. And you move with, when you move with confidence and certainty, you move the world. You understand? Mm-hmm. The biggest and baddest people in real estate move with confidence. A lot of you guys, I watch some people that they can't even look people in the eye, they can't talk with any certainty or energy, and they wonder why they can't get any deals done. So first and foremost, you gotta learn how to buy right. You gotta learn how to buy at wholesale prices. And the way you buy at wholesale prices is direct to seller marketing. That can be, give me some examples of what? Cold call, direct mail, agent outreach, payment signs, PPC, text blast, SEO.
Door knocking.
What's that?
Door knocking.
Door knocking. Foreclosures, door hangers. You gotta go direct to the seller and skip the middleman. The problem with most investors is they don't know how to skip the middleman. You got to be what? The source of the deal. I wrote a book about this called The Source of the Deal. You have to be the source. So you what? Capture a ton of equity on the buy side. Are there deals on MLS that are just listed? Yeah, but they're few and far between. And you got thousands of investors looking at it. When you got thousands of people looking at one deal, is there going to be a good probability you're going to buy that deal, right? No. Now, once you understand how to do direct to seller marketing, the next evolution on a gradient scale is going to be junior high, which is learning the art of raising private money. Who in here is raising private money? Raise your hand. Okay, 5 people. This is a superpower in real estate. If you don't know how to raise private money, you will get stuck in just fast money, which is what? Wholesale. It becomes pretty easy to learn how to raise private money when you know how to find a deal at 50 cents on the dollar. You think a lender, where's that lender at? Would you lend? Are you the lender? Jackie? Do y'all get nervous when somebody brings you comps at 50 cents on the dollar? No. No, not at all. So you see this evolution of raising private capital is the next gradient scale. Now, once you understand how to raise private money, but once you have a deal, it becomes easy to raise private money. Now you're ready for what? High school. This is about a 1 to 2 year cycle. Now you're ready to start what you think the next evolution is. Flipping. Do you know how many flippers go out of business? You know what the fail rate as a flipper is?
80%.
It's about 9%. Especially right now. You go to higher than 90? Yeah. Why do you think that is?
Construction.
Capital.
Don't learn the fundamentals.
Construction.
Numbers. They don't buy. They go buy from who? Wholesalers. Like me. Who make more money than them on the flips. Then they use their own money, and they don't know how to raise money, so now they, on the medium side, they got a 3 to 6 month process going. They're not buying direct to seller, they're buying at paper thin margins, they're using their own money that they're servicing the debt every month, and they're putting 20% down, and they're not getting paid for what? 3 to 6 months. So they can't sleep at night. They have paper thin margins, so they do 2 or 3 flips, they make 10 grand, and made less than minimum wage in the past 6 months, and they said, this shit doesn't work. And they quit. And it's not because it don't work. It's because they don't work in the proper sequence. There's a thing called sequencing. In business, in life, in mathematics, in chemistry, in physics, one thing follows another. Logical. What is logic? Logic is association. is connectedness. This all connects logically. So you have to start thinking logically when you're and strategically as a professional real estate investor. Now you have, okay, so now you're doing everything right. You're doing direct to seller marketing. You're stealing properties legally, morally, and ethically. You're raising private capital, and you're putting all of it on the back end, like I do, so you can sleep at night. I'll put zero money down. I've raised over $60 million. I put zero money down. Why? Because I build relationships with guys like this because I'm a good operator, not a steal properties. And I built a relationship with them where I don't have to service the debt. I put it all in the back end. You may not have to do that in the beginning. I didn't do that in the beginning. I had to, service the debt in the beginning. But I got to the point where we were doing 25 flips at a time. I was like, I got so much cash going out every month. It was stressing me out, servicing the debt. So I said, hey, look, I've been doing this with you guys for 3 to 5 years now. Paid you on time. Let's put all this in the back end. You guys know I'm a good operator. He said, sure, no problem, Chris. You know how much of a game changer that was for my business? To put all the debt in the back end. So this is what you should build to. Now, you got a bunch of flips going. Now you're making bigger rips. You're making, $40,000 to $60,000 on flips. Sometimes you're making 20 to 30, but you want to try to average around 20% where you're making at least 40 to 60,000 a flip. You're stacking that cash. You're making good money. What do you think the next progression is? We're going to start having a what problem right now when we start making good money. What happens? Tax problem. Who said that? That's right. Now you're ready for what?
Buy and hold.
Buy and hold. Slow money. Fast, medium, slow. Logically, in order. If you do it out of sequence, like most people do, including me, they go here before they know how to go direct to seller. They're using their own money. They don't understand the construction process. This helps you understand the construction process, by the way. Flipping. It screws everything up. But now, if you're getting all this capital, or you're making a bunch of money, you're ready to start buying rentals because you got a tax bill of $200,000 or $300,000 and you're pissed. That's the indicator that, hey, it's time to graduate to buy and hold. What do? You keep the best deals, you cherry pick the best deals out of your area, out of your wholesale pipeline in the best school districts, the newest construction, in the best areas, with the best demographics, with the best migration patterns. Migration patterns is huge. You guys are in a freaking awesome state, by the way. I live in Louisiana. We lose 50,000 people here. Y'all are gaining probably, what, how many people are moving here?
80,000 plus.
At least 1 million people a year. We're losing 50,000 people a year in Louisiana. And we only have 4.8 million people. They'll have more people than just in Houston, I think.
Yeah, it's like 7 million.
Yeah, it's crazy. So I wish I was born and raised over here because I'd probably make more money. So now you're ready for buying goals. So you cherry pick the best deals and you start keeping them. Now you're doing what? You're offsetting your what? Your fast and medium money from what? Paying taxes. I haven't paid taxes in 11 years, guys. I'll make millions of dollars a year. You understand that?
Yeah.
Some people get all upset when Trump, remember when Max Trump, he said, well, you don't pay taxes, Trump, and you're a criminal, and he says, no, that's because I'm smarter than you. Because she don't know the game. She's a politician. Trump is a businessman. He knows the game. He understands 1031 exchanges, cost segregation, which is a whole nother topic. I just sold a mobile home park and made $1 million about 2 months ago. I will pay no taxes on that $1 million gain because who knows what 1031 exchange is and cost segregation. Okay, we'll see. I don't need to go into that. It's a way to defer taxes into the future, right? Now, so I don't pay taxes because you're going to pay about 25-30% of your active income on fast and medium money. So I'm not paying taxes. And before I go to the next step, who here thinks that buying rentals, what's the number one important thing about buying rentals? Who wants to say it? What do you think it is?
Cash flow. Appreciation.
Okay, so I heard cash flow and appreciation. Let's talk about this logically. Because I bought over 750 units, and I can tell you without a shadow of a doubt, cash flow is the least important when you're buying rentals.
Location.
You want to underwrite it to cash flow, That's why I call it slow money. There's 4 things that are the most important things about buying rentals. First and foremost, when you're buying slow money, college buying whole rentals, is store value. For what? Somebody said appreciation. A hedge against what? The money printing machine in Washington, which, hopefully Trump can figure out. I hope he figures it out, but I'm not that optimistic because we've dug ourselves in such a septic hole of corruption and just deceit and look at all the shit that they're coming up with. But buying whole is first and foremost a hedge against inflation, to guard against the money printing machine so you can get that appreciation. As they print more money and debase the currency, asset prices go up. It's an involuntary movement, right? You understand that? Mm-hmm. 2, the second to most important thing is what? Depreciation. I buy real estate for more about appreciation than depreciation because it helps me not pay taxes legally, morally, and ethically. 3, principal pay down over time. You hold some of these assets for 5, 10 to 15 years, you're going to pay down that principal and build even more equity. You got appreciation going up, you got appreciation going up, principal pay down going down. So you're widening that gap of equity, building that net worth, that balance sheet. 4, then cash flow. So stop saying, oh, I'm buying rentals because I want to live off my cash flow, because you're going to hear that shit on Instagram and Facebook and YouTube. It's all bullshit. Yeah, go buy a bunch of rental properties and quit your job, your fast money, and see what happens. When the roof goes out, that's when it shits on the wall and throws it and smudges baby shit on it. Punches holes. That's the reality of being a landlord. So in order, appreciation, depreciation, store value, then cash flow. The positive cash flow that I have that comes in, you think I try to live off of that? You know what I do with that cash flow? I'll hoard the property. Who said that? You can listen to me. I roll that into I keep it hard, meaning I keep the roofs up, the ACs, I keep improving it. So that way one day when I do exit, it's not a shit box. Yeah. Because what happens, if it's a shit box, Rood's going to be buying your property, you'll get a letter in the mail eventually, and living off your passive income cash flow and not fixing anything and putting, lipstick on a pig and band-aiding it, and then you sell it to me for 50 cents on the dollar and you make the money. That is the reality of most landlords. So I take my property cash flow and I harden the property and I pay down my mortgage.
So their philosophy was wrong the entire time.
Hell yeah, it's wrong. This buying whole college slow money, yeah, you can live off your passive income eventually. But with interest rates doubled, property taxes have doubled, flood insurance has doubled and tripled, cost of material has doubled, labor has doubled. How the hell are you living off your passive income on cash flow? It's really tough right now. You gotta wait to pay that thing down. When you pay it off and pay it down, I look at this as like a 401k. Do you live off your 401k? No. You invest the money and you let it grow. I'm hoping to live off my passive income in another 10 or 15 years and pay this down. Now there's also another caveat to this. There's a thing called product life cycle, right? And you gotta know where you're at in that cycle. If you got a product that's 50, 60 years old, you don't want to hold that. You got to ask yourself, where's my exit on every buy and hold, right? All this philosophy on the buy and hold forever, that sounds cool, on the gram, but it doesn't check off the reality. That asset will eventually become a liability. Because every asset has a product life cycle, right? The AC is going to go out, the plumbing's eventually go out. In my case, I own a bunch of old home parks. I try to get that point where it's at peak condition, and then I exit, and I just keep doing what? I keep recycling money. I keep recycling money into newer, nicer product over time. Because if you hold an asset for 450 years, it's just like a body you're in, right? You got a fresh body when you're born. Your life has a product life cycle. Just like real estate, you have to know where you're at. You don't want to buy a bunch of old crap and think, I'm going to keep this forever.
I want to be 80 years old owning a bunch of shit boxes.
Shit boxes. Recycle money into newer, nicer product from this. Now, does this make more sense? Now, you've done a bunch of buying. Well, this is probably this is probably about 3 to 5 years out from this fast, medium, slow money. Now, the next progression. Now you're doing all this, you're making good money, you're building equity, you're building a balance sheet, you should be a millionaire by this point. Easy because you're keeping the best deals and you're capturing equity. The fastest way to become a millionaire on this planet is to capture equity right here and stabilize it and build that balance sheet. Now, I'm ready for the next, which is professor. Now you're getting up there. That's kind of where I'm at right here. Where do you think this next progression starts at?
Tax strategy, like IRA, what's it called? Like,
I'm reading wrong, but that's
trusts and.
yeah, well, we almost there. Land development. The biggest and baddest real estate investors in any town you go to are not wholesalers, they're not flippers, and they're not buying whole lots. They're developers. Don't make this money in development. You go to any neighborhood, even in my town, the biggest, baddest people are the developers, the ones that they're building brand new apartments, they're building brand new neighborhoods. They make the most money. But do you think you can start right here? You gotta go through this whole cycle. Or you just gotta have a lot of money from the get-go. Maybe you're born into a rich family, God bless you. You can start off with this. Now, you do this and you start making millions of dollars. This is millions of dollars. And you do this for another 10, 15, 20 years, and you progress again. I call this legend mode. Who do you think never loses?
Hard money lender.
Yeah.
King levels. Lenders, the bank. Eventually, I want to have enough capital that I can lend. And I want to find another Chris Rood who knows how to find deals. He's buying direct to seller. He's raising capital from me. I know he knows what he's doing because I did this already. He's flipping. He's making a bunch of money. He's got a portfolio doing this, and he's doing land development. Hell, I'm gonna lend to that guy. I can't lose. Every one of you guys needs to strive to eventually, if you guys say you retire, you got $2 or $3 million in cash, and you did this the right way, 20 years from now, maybe you got 10 million, maybe you got 20. It depends how hard you want to go and how much risk and tolerance you have. This is the way to go. You lend against real estate. Does that make sense? Do you see this logically? Has anybody ever told you how to do this on social media? No. This is the proper way to become a professional real estate investor. I got a lot more to talk about real quick. Does anybody have any questions on this before I move on?
So flipping, or even new builds, it really becomes right. So
Also,
really becomes a very time-intensive
yes. Yes.
activity. Also, elementary wholesaling and realtor or
Yeah.
whatever.
I know where you're going with this. I already know.
Yeah.
So
How do you go?
you do them all. Listen, I've been in this game for 22 years. I'm developing neighborhoods. Do I still wholesale? Yes. Do I still flip properties? Yes. Do I still do buying home? Yes. I just bought 2 riverfront property Airbnbs last week. I got a bunch of flips on the market right now. I don't stop as I progress. I build a team around this to keep it going.
People get in trouble when they think they move past that.
That's right. You can never get past this.
You gotta keep
You
it.
can never get past this. You will never get past this, and you never get. You do them congruently. But if you skip a gradient, it screws everything up. If you think you're going to stop doing this and how to find deals, this all goes out. Your private money lender is going to look at your loan value. I think this ain't the deal. What you doing? You understand? This is the foundation. How to find deals. So I wrote a whole book called "The Source of the Deal." If you don't get this part right, you will never be a professional real estate investor. Now, there is 3 different ways you can make money in real estate. You can capture value through direct to seller marketing, which everybody should do because that's the lowest hanging fruit. You capture value to build equity. You can create value through the building process. You understand? You force an equity through construction, which is a next layer, a next tier of skill set. And then there's lastly, which is more of a high, it's more of a high-end skill set. It's not for everybody. This is big guys have a lot of money to do this, and that's time value. What does that mean? That means they go and build in areas that they know if they buy and hold or build and hold, they're gonna make a lot of money based off of what? Migration patterns, demographics, financial data. That's your big hedge funds. They'll go pay full retail for a piece of land and build because they know everything's coming that way. But that's a big boy game. That's a real big boy game. I'm doing that now with Airbnbs. I pay full retail. The only asset I pay full retail for is my Airbnbs and short-term vacation rentals on the beach. I just bought a $2 million place in Broken, Oklahoma. Everything's moving up that way, right? I bought a $1 million house in Destin, Florida. I paid full retail in 2017, but I knew it was going to keep growing. I paid 1.1. It's worth 2.6 now. I bought a house in Gulf Shores, Alabama. Paid full retail for it because I know it's rare and valuable. You have beachfront property, and people are going to keep migrating to the south to vacation because you got California, New York, New Jersey. Listen, the Gulf, the southern states is going to be the new California in the next 20 years, whether you like it or not. Why do I know that? It's not my opinion, it's the what? It's the data. The south is where you want to be. We're still affordable. We have great government, we still have great tenant landlord laws. Everybody's moving here. So do you think everything in the South, on the Gulf, and even just Texas in general is going to go down or go up? It's going to go up based off of what? Supply and demand, migration patterns. Now, you'll have pockets of places that don't do well. Real estate's not generalized. It is definitely area specific, and you got to learn your areas. Did that answer some of your question? You got?
Yeah, I'm still struggling with it because I've tried doing both, and it's like they both fall apart. I'm still.
You tried doing what?
Wholesaling and flipping, which is.
Okay, so
both choke because there's just not enough time in the day.
Okay, so do you have a W-2 job?
No.
Okay, so this is where you mess it up. Which I'm gonna show you how my whole model, how to scale it across the country. You should be wholesaling probably 60 to 80% of the time and only flipping 20 to 40% of the time the best deals. That needs the least amount of work. I don't flip nothing unless it needs maybe $15,000 to $30,000 worth of work. All these HGTV stars you see flip my house, they sensationalize flipping like it's great, and they do it to the studs on every deal. Listen, those people hate their lives. That's not my opinion. They eventually quit because there's so many problems. The process is so long. You watch them on TV, everybody's blonde hair, everybody's beautiful, they make millions, and everybody's sexy. That's all bullshit. You wholesale, you flip and wholesale. You keep the best. You keep the rest. You flip and wholesale the rest. If your ratio between flipping and wholesaling should be 60.
You know what's interesting about that quick thought? So most people obviously want a small rehab. Is that fair to say?
Yeah.
So there's sometimes a niche for the guy that can do that 50 to 60 rehab because nobody wants it. And then you buy those very deep, just like burn houses. Like nobody wants to touch a burn house, but we made $200,000 on something like that.
Yeah.
Would you say that if you're going to do a large rehab, maybe it's 55%, nice repair, 58.
Yeah.
You steal it.
Yeah, it's got to be ridiculous. You got people think that flipping is a whole nother skill set. It ain't for everybody. Like you gotta love that shit, and you gotta be creative, and you gotta understand. It's not just like wholesaling. You gotta know what's in. You gotta know like how big the kitchen is, or like you have to eye.
It's a team.
It's what?
It's a team. It's like you have to have a designer. You have to have branding.
Contractors. Yeah.
Yeah. You have to have.
That is a totally different business model
GC.
versus wholesale. I like to stay lean and mean and wholesale most of my stuff, so I can have my time, so I can focus on other things, right? Now, I can erase this.
I have a question about raising private.
Yep.
So you hear it all the time, but what would your strategy be?
That's what I'm getting to. I'm actually getting into that right here.
Also on flipping, how many houses would you say is usually the mark before you go into like development?
How many houses you need to flip
Yeah.
before you get into development?
Yeah. Is there?
I would say you probably need to flip at least 100 houses.
That's what I was
before you get real comfortable with everything.
Yep.
But to answer your question, I like simple stuff. I use a lot of triangles because they're logical, right? They're logic by association from connectedness, right? All I focus on all day is direct
To sell it.
to sell and marketing. I'm on the phone, qualifying deals, raising private money. And one thing that most of you guys are probably feel super uncomfortable with is another superpower in real estate, and that's building a brand. You guys want to hear that? Who in here is building a brand? Raise your hand. Okay, only maybe 20% of you guys raise your hand. You're not going to compete with a guy who is posting everything on social media about what he's doing in real estate. You're not going to be able to compete because you're getting so much reach for what free. And most of you guys don't want to do it because you think you're not attractive or you talk funny and whatever it may be. Whatever insecurity you got to get out of your own head.
Nobody cares about that,
Nobody gives a shit.
except for yourself.
Yeah, except for you. That's the only person that cares is you that's doing it.
Get over ego.
When somebody actually, because I had to get through this, when I started building the brand back in 2016, it was tough. I was like, man, I don't want to be on camera. You know, when I would look on social media, I hated social media. I'd pick on my wife and like, get off of that shit. I'd look at social media and taking a dump. It's not until I went to a mastermind and I started doing some work with Grant Cardone, who taught me, hey, dude, you gotta build a brand, man. And this is the most powerful thing you're going to do. This is actually senior to direct to sell marketing and raising private money because if you build a brand, you're going to get deals organically. Then you're going to be able to raise private money from your brand because people know, like, and trust you. And then how do you scale that? Allies. My whole brand is no friends, only allies. I'm an entrepreneur. I ain't got friends. You call me to come hang out and talk about the weather and sports in LSU and Alabama, I'll kick your ass out of my house. I want to talk about money. I want to talk about opportunities. I want to talk about business and how we can grow together, right? How do I do all this? Through allies. To your point next, you want to know how I do it. So this is revenue generating activities. This is all I do. I don't do anything else. I don't party in the weekends. I don't hang out 7 days a week. It does not stop. My phone, me and my wife all day on Sunday. We get an Airbnb ready on Saturday, Sunday. We don't stop. I don't know if it's Tuesday or Saturday. You want to know what you want? You want me to tell you what you want to hear? What you need to hear. For real. If you ain't ready for this shit, if you're thinking this is a 40-hour a week or a 9 to 5, dude, this is a 5 to 9. Y'all understand that? The highest performers in the world are not 40-hour work week. I remember when I used to have a part-time job. Y'all gonna put it in. Now, the next part of this triangle.
What do you tell people that aren't motivated? Or do you even try?
Get a job.
I think that's
If you gotta be motivated, then you ain't ready for this shit.
Yeah, right.
This shit is so hard that if you need to be motivated, there's the door.
Okay.
It's discipline. I didn't want to come over here.
I didn't even.
Some say they come over here. I usually get paid to speak, but I like him.
Thank you. Thank you.
I used to think you were full of shit because but I watch, it's like, man, you talk just like me. I can drive with this dude. Let's go check him out. He's 3.5 hours away. But listen, this shit is not for the faint hearted. So I'm not here to try to inspire you. Y'all understand? This ain't inspiration. If you need inspiration, that's for the amateurs. Discipline is for kings.
Go get it. Son.
Y'all want to be a king? You better be disciplined. You do shit that nobody else wants to do. When nobody wants to do it, and you learn and try to understand shit that most people don't want to learn and understand. You understand? That's the fundamentals right there. Now, how do I go and partner up? And I'm working in about 6 to 8 states right now. I'm mobile parts all over the South. I got a few in Indiana. That was the fastest money with people. I'm in Panama City, I'm in Kokomo, Indiana, I'm in Birmingham, Alabama, I'm in Mobile, wholesaling and flipping. How do I do that? Every one of these pieces, direct to sell marketing, raising private money, building a brand are a piece, right? So you have the deal. Now, if you're just doing it locally, you can do it all yourself. But if you want to expand it to maybe an hour location down the road or 2 hours in a different state, this is how I do it nationwide. You have the deal, you have the money, then you have what? Operations. What do you think the hardest part of this piece is? Right?
People.
Operations. Operations. All day, every day. It doesn't stop. But I decided, and I had to break this down for myself, how do I live the life of my dreams but still work all day but not get tied down? Because I got really good at finding deals and I got really good at raising capital. I outsourced and partnered with analyzing operations. So what do? I set up mail campaigns and text blast campaigns in areas that I want to partner up with, and most of my partners are my students that come through my program, so that's it's a betting for you, because you don't want to just go partner up every time they can hear you meet. Also, because that can be a disaster too. I got really good at finding deals, and I personally take all my calls. We spend about 45, 50 grand a month in direct mail. Let's do a bunch of text blasts and SEO. My phone burns up. I probably had, I'm not going to disclose, I'm going to call them all back. But I told you, like, how do you do that? Well, my letter is so dialed in. I literally tell them, do not call me unless you're ready to give me your house. At a steal. Without saying it so ugly. I tell them, hey, I'm not a retail buyer. I'm not buying your house to live there. I am an investor. I got your information from public record. No, I'm not a scam artist. No, I'm not going to give you full retail. Yes, I'm going to have to buy your house at a huge discount. And no, do not call me to tell me to take you off the list, because it's not my list to take you off of. If you're interested in selling your property at a discount, give me a call. That is my letter. And it works. Because what happens? I can send that much direct mail and not get all the bullshit calls. I still get some bullshit calls because they don't read the whole letter. You just switch the bottom to the top real quick. P.S.
Yes, up top first.
But yeah, that's how. What I've done, I've taken so many direct mail calls. I've built up pattern recognition. I know what they're gonna say, how they're gonna say it, because I've taken. Me and my wife did the math. I've taken probably about 206,000 calls. When you have done something that many times, you get to a point of what? Mastery.
Yeah, for sure.
Mastery. You guys master how to tie your shoes. Do you have to think about how to tie your shoes? No, you just tie your shoe. I can tell within 30 to 60 seconds if that's a deal or not by their tonality, what they say, how they say it, why. There's only so many patterns of a motivated versus a non-motivated seller sequence that they say. I know within 60 seconds I don't waste my time. The biggest problem with most of you guys that are going to try to do direct sell marketing and answer phones to you guys is they go waste so much time with people that will never buy their house. Right? You got to get qualified leads quick. Now, you got to build up to that. You got to build unconscious confidence through pattern recognition, which turns into a skill. But that takes what? Reps. Reps. Michael Jordan's mentor. You know who that is? Michael Jordan's mentor. What's his name? Tim Grover. We got to sit by him at the 10X Con, and literally sat Michael Jordan's mentor for 2 days straight and listened to him. And then I studied, Michael Jordan and some of the, Bruce Lee stuff. There's so much truisms in what these Michael Jordan's the most badass sports star ever. I don't care if you're a LeBron James star. Michael Jordan is the GOAT. What's you guys call it? Who remembers Michael Jordan? That was coming up. Is he better than LeBron James? Sorry. No. Michael Jordan was not even the top pick. In high school he wasn't that great. He wasn't even that great in college. But he got to a point where, because if you read Tim Grover's books, he talks about Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, and all those guys. They just outworked everybody, and they mastered the what? Just the basics. They got so good at the basics, they built unconscious confidence to the point where they outperformed everybody. And that's what you guys got to do in real estate and an entrepreneur. You got to become a high performance athlete as an entrepreneur, as a real estate investor. This is a sport. You understand? Real estate is a sport. Entrepreneur is a sport. You got to practice. And I practice 7 days a week, and I've been doing this shit for 22 years. This is, I think I got past everybody. Most people can't even fathom what my day looks like. So you gotta get really good at the basics. Bruce Lee once said, I don't fear the man that knows 10,000 moves. I fear the man that's done one move 10,000 times. So most of you guys will never do that one move 10,000 times because you quit before you get to unconscious competence, pattern recognition, and it becomes a skill.
They call that crazy.
They call that what?
Crazy. Being crazy.
You gotta be crazy.
Yeah.
Dude, you gotta be crazy to do this.
Yeah.
You did going back when
You gotta be a psychopath for success. You gotta be fanatically focused.
We say that about each other often.
Well, that's what I'm like, what are we doing? Crazy. But I wouldn't do it any other
Yeah.
way.
Yeah.
Listen, you gonna go put in some time and effort making another man rich, or you wanna make yourself rich? Either way, it sucks. It's gonna suck building wealth. It's gonna suck helping somebody else build wealth and building somebody else's wealth. Choose your heart. Choose your heart. That's right. So this is on the fast and slow money side. The slow money side. So I have mobile home parks all over the country. What do? I get really good at finding a deal. I get really good at raising the money, and I get an equity partner, boots on the ground. I give them usually 30% of the deal for running operations. The mobile home parks, land development, and wholesaling too, right? I'd rather have 50% of 10 businesses than 100% of one.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You don't need more friends, guys. You need more allies, good people, and those good people in a room like this, right? And you just trade value. You trade skill sets. I don't partner up with people like me. I partner up with frankly speaking nerds, local guys. I'm a high D. Who here is taking the DIS test? You need to figure out what your personality trait is. I like to drive revenue. I'm good at sales. I'm good at communication. Some people don't like to talk to people. Some people just want to put their head down and grind and do operations. Partner up with those guys. You understand? So you got to figure out these different skill sets and these different. I call this the deal triangle. Where do you fit in this deal triangle? Operations, deal, or money. If you bring a piece of that, you can take pieces of the pie on different deals, different asset classes. And I don't asset discriminate, right? I own mobile home parks, I own single family homes there, I own Airbnbs, I own short-term vacation rentals on the beach, in the mountains, land develop. Because why? I got really good at elementary school, which is finding a deal. If you know how to steal properties legally, morally, and ethically, why would you be in just one asset class? Hey, people say, well, I just do apartments. That's the best thing since sliced bread. Yeah, apartments, look what apartments are doing right now. They've taken a huge dump. You can't even give them away right now, but everybody talked about apartments for the past 10 years. Well, I was always diversifying, which comes to my last part of my presentation. How am I doing on time? You're good. Everything is always changing. I'm always readapting my strategy. What I talked about 5 years ago, even 2 or 3 years ago, I don't talk about it anymore. I've made some modifications. It's always adapting and changing and pivoting. It's a key word as an entrepreneur. You're always going to have to pivot because shit always changes. What used to work doesn't work anymore. New things work. You want to stay, first and foremost, balanced on your fast, your medium, and slow money. Stay balanced on all of them. Put your hands in all 3 buckets. Because in this, you're just building fast cash, and this also, but if you're not buying and holding, you're getting some slow money, you're not building wealth. Diversify. Don't get stuck in one asset class. Understand? Whatever you can steal legally, morally, and ethically and capture equity and build that balance sheet, do it. I'll call it asset discrimination. Don't be a racist real estate investor. Everybody's racist. They all want, oh, my asset class is better than yours. Bullshit, they all have their pros and cons. They're all good. Apartments are good for one thing. Mobile homes are good for cash flow, but they don't appreciate as fast as apartments. Apartments don't really cash flow, but they appreciate. Single family homes appreciate, but they don't cash flow that well. You see, they all have their pros and cons. Now, the next thing, which is, the next layer of this is going to be vertical integration. Anybody know what that means?
Yep. Business within a business.
That's exactly right. You take and you vertically integrate. You take whatever you're already using. If you watch me and you follow me, I vertically integrate damn near everything. I wholesale, I flip, I buy and hold. I have an HVAC company because I change out a lot of HVAC. I have a junk removal business. It's really for my son, but I help him. He makes money because we've already cleaned out units. I own a bunch of mobile home parks, so what did I do? I got my license and now I'm wholesaling mobile homes to myself because I skipped the middleman. I vertically integrated. I'm buying them direct to the manufacturer and saving a bunch of money. And then I'm turning around and wholesaling it to my people that follow me through my brand. And then I'm going to start a course on how to do the trailer land home package you guys can send me to do. I'm going to sell them the trailer. They're going to buy my courses. I'm going to show them how to do it. And I'm going to partner with them on developments, vertical integration, in the same asset class. Diversification. My wife's a realtor.
We don't have any text line.
I just started my own text blasting company for my lead gen because direct mail is not working as good as it's getting. My cost per acquisition is getting bigger and bigger. So I started a text blasting company so I can get it at cost. And then when I have a brand, so I can sell guys, blue collar guys, text blasts also. I buy Airbnbs on the beach. What do I do with them? When they're not being rented out, I do what? An allies mastermind from my brand, back to building a brand. You see all these verticals? The days of just doing one thing are over with. If you're just a broker, you're just a wholesaler, dude, it's tough. You gotta diversify. You gotta work on your fast, medium, and slow money. You gotta diversify in different asset classes, and you want to vertically integrate. Does that make sense? All right. Well, I appreciate you guys. If you have any other questions, I'll take them. So.
I've got a question. You talk about brand, building a brand. How do you go about doing that effectively?
I wish I'm so right. That's a good question. Simple. You notice everything did anything I say was complicated?
No.
So do I sound like an engineer?
No.
No, I'm not. I'm not analytical at all. Like I'm gonna bullshit. Tell me what you're doing. It don't have to sound fancy. I'm gonna tell you exactly to answer your question that's so to the point. Because you listen to people on social media, you try to find stuff out on YouTube, it's like, dude, you're trying to sound too smart. Like, it ain't that fucking complicated.
It's the truth.
It's the truth. The brand.
Yes.
The brand. You know how I build a brand? And how I put content out? Watch how simple this is. Problem.
Solution.
Reaction. Solution. Content. That's how you build a brand. Every day that you have a problem on social media, if you're an entrepreneur, if you follow me, I have stories, I'm always putting out tidbits, even if I have an issue with my kids. I'll talk about my wife and kids, or my real estate, or a business, or personal problem. I talk about the problem, my reaction to it, how I solved it. That creates content, that creates what? Value. Which builds what? Trust. Because they relate to me.
Yep. Relating to your client.
Yes. Do I seem like anybody you can come up to and just have a conversation?
Yeah.
Do I seem like a freaking guru on social media, my vet, with all my flashy Rolex and all that? Dude, I'm richer than most of those guys you see on social media. And I don't mean that to be disrespectful, but I'm just being honest with you. I'm worth a lot of money. But you don't have to be a piece of shit on social media to build a brand or act like you better than everybody. Be real. Be relatable. Talk about your problems, because everybody's got problems. You live on planet Earth, you got a problem. Yep.
You got 5 kids, you got a problem.
We got problems. You got a wife that likes all those, what they call them channel purses, all that have in mind.
Channel purchase.
Designer bag.
Damn channel person. Let's change the channel. We ain't buying
And this is how you build a brand on social media, and just show everything you're doing. If you're flipping a house, and if you're not comfortable on camera, flip your camera over and just show the house. This is what we did. This is what we paid for. This is what we're doing. Hey, listen, if you're interested in maybe partnering up with me or bringing me a deal, I can pay you a wholesale fee, or maybe listen, my private lender is making 12% on this money and 1 point on this deal. You know, if you got money in a 401k or a stock and you want to get something that's secured by an asset and you stick to the stock market, inbox the deal, and I'll give them a conversation, which I'll put you in my next deal. Or if I'm a wholesaler, you know, I'm getting on camera and say, hey, listen, you know, if you guys got any deals out there, I'm a buyer. I'm looking to buy properties, and you know, inbox me, whatever you like. Promote. Stop being so quiet. The squeaky wheel gets the grease.
Amen.
The days of building wealth in silence. Who's ever said that? Be humble. You ever heard that? Be humble. Build wealth. How they say,
Being humble gets you overlooked and underpaid.
That's right.
There it is.
That's right.
There it is.
When they say, you know, wealth whispers with people that not yell. Yeah, that might have worked 100 years ago with our grandparents. No.
Jesus would have social media.
They didn't have social media. Listen, if Jesus was alive today, he would be hallelujah, praise the Lord, all over social media.
Yeah.
And you'd be loud and proud. So get out of your own way, post on social media, and start building more leads for yourself organically. Never world history. You will look back when you're in death that if you didn't build a brand or at least use social media to build your business, it'll be the biggest regret. When can you reach thousands of people in the past for free? 50, 60 years ago. You couldn't reach people for free. It cost thousands of dollars to get this much reach, and you're sitting on it because you're worried about what you look like or how you sound.
Jesus would have a lending company.
That's right.
It's called King James Lending, and he'd do everything.
I have a question, sir.
Question about
Okay.
so you said build the operation. So what are some mistakes you made in scaling an operation? 20 years ago.
Man, I would tell you partner with the wrong people. You see that?
Yes.
Yeah, everybody's got a great deal. Everybody's got it's going to be a good deal. Listen, money exposes.
And being in the right vertical.
Money exposes. So understand the personalities. Don't partner up with nobody that's just like, you're not partner up with your best friend from high school. Because you like that person because he's a lot like you. You partner up with people that are just like you would never even hang out with. My best partners are people that are totally opposite. I would tell you that, and I would tell you, you gotta let's look at character before skill. I can help somebody build their skill, I can't build their character.
300%.
Character is kind of innate. And people are just crazy. It's you. When you start doing a deal, things go sour. Anybody that's making money, everything's great. When you start losing money, it exposes people. Can you lose money with grace? And that's where I would set clear expectations at every partner. Hey, do you understand this is a business? Do you understand if we lose money, like, we're both responsible? Do you understand that that this is your job? Set clear expectations and put it in writing.
Contracts.
And trust and verify. I don't care if it's, your mom, your wife, your business partner. Trust and verify everything. And make sure that they're pulling their weight. It's got to be like this. The triangle is just pieces of the pie of skill sets. They got to make sure that they bring value, right? Don't partner with somebody because you like them. You partner with them because they bring value. I like people because they bring value in my life. When I was a kid, I liked you if you were funny. If you get girls, I want to be around you. Now I'm around you because you bring value to my life. Either whether it's in building wealth or
You matured. In other words.
yeah,
Is that fair to say?
That's right.
Mature.
That's right, mature. And a lot of people don't mature in life. They're still hanging out with the same people from high school and college, still having the same barbecues, still talking about the nonsense, and having mindless entertainment. Watching ESPN fighting over who's the best coach or what running back or stats. If you don't know your own stats, and you can tell me every stat of the next upcoming, dude, I didn't know who was in the Super Bowl. I don't even know. My wife just said, hey, the Super Bowl, said, okay, great. That's good stuff, I guess. I watched the Super Bowl and that's it. Because you're supposed to, and I probably shouldn't even do that. You need to focus on your own stats. Document and stat every single thing in your life. We stat everything. Everything has a parameter. What's not measured can't grow. Hell, I even measured the stat on how many times I had sex with you in the past 30 years.
I like that.
3,000 times.
3,000.
Lester's like, I did that last week.
Hey, Chris, that's next.
Hey, Chris, thanks for your time. One of the things you mentioned was hiring mentors. So I'm very interested in your program. First session here, tower paying taxes. So obviously real estate, it's a portfolio to have, and I do know about building brands.
Yeah.
So I guess I can get your contact and what courses you have and what the tools that come.
On my coaching program, everything that I just talked about, direct to seller marketing, raising private
But
capital.
I mean tools, how to buy the right property.
Yes, we have coaching calls every Wednesday at 7 o'clock Central, and I do masterminds all over the country every quarter.
Okay. Yeah, I don't have social media, so I guess I'll give it to you.
Yeah, give it to my wife, or
Okay, give it to your wife. Okay.
give her a number, or come talk to me. I'll hang out for a little while. But
Sure.
look, another thing, the key point too. I spent over $1 million in personal development. Patty knows that. When I was 22 years old, I spent like 30 grand on just a business boot camp at 22 years old. My wife said, "You are crazy," and I took out a loan to do that. So just understand, personal development matched up with being an entrepreneur in real estate is actually what's going to take you to the next level, because you have to be so dialed in your mind, because this shit's so hard that if you're not personally developing, you're not going to handle this shit.
So raising private money, some of us are doing that here, right? And how you did that with the terms maybe early on. Let's say you're 2 deals in, right? And then when you're raising capital, they're like, well, we trust you, but you don't have a record.
You have to deal up for 30% of equity in the beginning before you depress at 12% of the point. You give, as you develop into a better seasoned operator, you can get more favorable terms because you have a track record of being successful and you know what you're doing. And then you slowly give them 30% the next time, then 20, and say, hey, look, I'm just giving you 12%. I've done 4 deals with you.
Yeah.
First, I just want to say thank you. This is probably one of, if not the most value-packed presentation I've seen in a long time. I want to give you hoorahs. Amazing.
It's way better than Derek's was a couple years ago.
We always got a toaster to do.
It was better than Curtis too.
I appreciate that.
I gave you a shout out, everybody. He didn't mention you once.
So I love that you're able to build and build a legacy and make money for your family. I think this is the ultimate game, right? And I play this game with my wife, and me and my wife are great partners. And she has I want to give her a little bit of credit here. I couldn't do all this without her. She freaking, like, I wouldn't say something good. I'm like beat down. I want to quit. Like, if you're not wanting to burn it down at least once a week, you ain't trying hard enough. And you need a rock solid partner to say, hey, listen, you got this. I've seen you go through the harder shit, then this you made it, and but you need a wife that supports you. So try to, if you are possible, try to be a husband and wife team if that makes sense.
Amen.
So a lot of y'all didn't know who Chris was before he came into this room, which was really, really good. And that's why I try to capitalize whenever I knew he was coming into town on that. But y'all can see how much value somebody like that's actually really doing stuff like that. What they bring and see they're able to translate that stuff and break it down for you. It's by far probably the best presentation we've ever had here.
Yeah.
Very well. Yes. Yeah, he typically charges for this stuff. He does. When you learn what the value of stuff is on things like that, that's whenever you really start to maximize it. Wholesaling, money, finding the deals, being the operations, whatever it is, just when you really start learning the value of what that is and you start taxing on it. I mean, it's what you do.
I truly don't know anybody else that studies like this dude.
Yeah.
Like 3 hours every day.
Yeah, I don't want to bullshit you. I read
Like, he is
every day.
like amazing.
Every day. The first thing I do is I drink my coffee and I read for an hour to 2 hours. Then me and my wife game plan our day. Then I go get to the gym, and then I'm on the phone all day and I'm checking on projects. I'm raising money. I'm putting out content. I'm answering phone. Video track. Sell marketing, raising capital, building a brand.
I drive a lot. How come your book isn't on Audible?
Say that again?
I drive a lot, and I'd like to listen to your book on Audible.
I don't know if it's on Audible or
I
not.
don't think it is. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if it's on Audible. I mean, that's the issue. I'm actually about to start writing down a book called Skill Up, and it's all about kind of what we talked about with more detail.
But so I wanted to ask you, I've had mentorship programs that are probably the best thing I've ever done. And based on that, I then move on, to other mentorship programs, and it's the biggest waste of money and time I've ever done. So it's a really big challenge because it's like, I see the value in mentorship. There's so much garbage out there.
Yeah.
There's more garbage than good.
Yeah.
But the ones that are good are worth
Right.
all. It's just like, how do you
hire a coach who's actually still in the game. Most of these guys that are on social media, they're not doing real estate. They're just full-time gurus. This is why my content's not all polished and I'm all not all perfect. I don't care. I'm a real estate entrepreneur first and foremost. I do coaching on the side. And the reason I do coaching on the side because it helps me find the best outcomes. It helps me raise my capital because I've got content.
And people are asking him questions anyway. You might as well get
Yeah,
paid
might as well get paid. Might as well get paid. And that's
right.
I didn't mean to try to become a coach. It fell into my lap. I got asked too many questions.
It's crazy. Some of the people who coach about things don't even have any experience too.
That's right.
And like,
it's wild. Social media is Hollywood, folks. It's Hollywood. None of it's real. So just you gotta be careful on that. And so just hire people that actually in the game. These guys in the game, you can tell they're operators. You can't fake what their deals, all they're doing, the way they talk. You can when somebody overfluffs and doesn't talk about how hard it is. That's your first red flag because this shit is so hard.
yeah.
That's why. What is the first thing I came out? Hey, most of you guys they're gonna probably quit. Like this shit is super hard. Anything else? I hope this gave you massive value. Go out there and just understand you're gonna take some L's. I got a call this morning. I got from an L. I'm gonna probably lose $25,000 in a deal. Do I quit? No.
Nope.
Do I get upset? Maybe a little bit. But you never lose as an entrepreneur. You only learn.
I got one more question. Your success, a great deal of it, is derived from your mindset that you created, right? Now, that drives the results. Now, how does a room like this, room online, go about developing that mindset?
That's such a good question. Listen, you gotta feel good all the time. You gotta feel good all the time. This is why I take care of, let's just write this down, because this is so important. I'm so glad you brought that up. You gotta think like a high performance person. You gotta psych yourself out. Who has read Psycho-Cybernetics? Anybody?
Yes, sir.
Okay, there's a lot of key principles. How you think about yourself
I read that.
is a reflection. Who said they read that?
Yeah.
What's the name of it? Psycho-Cybernetics. How you think about yourself is a reflection of the world to you. How you think of yourself is how other people are going to think about you. So, back to this triangle. Mind, body, spirit. I work on all three of these every day. I wake up in the morning and I'll like read. I'm working on my mind.
Straight to the gym.
Gym. How you work on your spirit?
Meditate.
Meditation, talking to God.
Whatever it is for you, that's real for you.
Helping others.
Other people. I have good ethics. And morals, that's right.
Values.
I donate money to my church. And I'm just a good person.
Damn
You
it.
understand? I'm just a good person. Be a good person. And if you work on these, guess what? You can't help but to raise your elevation, your thermostat in your bed. And I'm gonna be honest with you. The reason I study people like Michael Jordan, Bruce Lee, because I want to be a high performance person. I just study people like that, and you gotta psych yourself out. You gotta tell yourself, hey, you're gonna be a biggest cheerleader. You gotta know that you deserve this.
And you got to be around the right environment. You didn't really talk about environment.
That's what your environment.
You are the 5 people you surround yourself with.
Yes, I don't hang around losers. I don't do drugs. I might have a sip of wine here and there, smoke a cigar at a party. Outside of that, I don't do anything that hurts me. But I'm around people that are just like me. High performance people that do better than me. When I do my allies mastermind, the people that come speak, for the most part, a lot of these guys are doing better than us. Because I don't have an ego, right? I want to extract from them If you hang around, listen, you hang around a bunch of gangsters,
You're gonna be another
you
gangster.
become a gangster.
If you hang around a bunch of negative people, you will have a negative attitude.
100%.
You hang around a bunch of millionaires or people that are doing big things, you can't help it by default. They're gonna lift you up.
Yep.
You become who you hang around with, period. And you become what you think about. I'm gonna leave you guys with this, because this is kind of hocus pocus, and
How do you get around those people?
masterminds. Groups like this, entrepreneurs.
Your network is your net worth.
Right.
Move to Seabird.
Another thing that's been a big secret of me and my wife's success is understand it takes time to build wealth. And, we've been doing this for 22 years. Give yourself 10 years, first and foremost. 5 years to figure it out, another 5 years to build. After the 10-year mark, you start really getting the momentum. That takes 20 years to really build wealth. Beyond 20 years. But here's the thing. You have to write your what down. Goals.
And
You gotta put it on paper.
every year.
Write down your goals every year, right? Now, I live and die off a calendar. Do you know my phone pen? I live and die off a calendar. I ain't got a fancy CRM. I ain't paying Podio or Google Calendar. Look at my schedule every day.
Jesus.
That's what I do, and I crush my day every day. And if I can't get to it, I just slide it to the next day, right? That's my day every day. So I live by a calendar, and I write my goals down, big goals for my wife, for my kids, my family, my allies, my business, my health, what I want to achieve. So write my goals, and I would say, don't daydream enough. You got to daydream and visualize the ideal scene, right? What's your ideal scene? I literally visualized and daydreamed the life me and my wife had today, 20 years ago. That's no bullshit. She knows that. Everything you see in my life, the freedom, the time, the money, beach houses. I'm not gonna say what. I just push through it though. But I visualize that daydream. Thoughts are things. Thoughts are vibration and frequency. You're a spiritual being having a humanoid existence. I don't care what color skin. You got people in this country that fight over what color their bodysuit is. We're all spiritual beings having a humanoid existence.
They
It
say
says in the
if,
Bible, what's that?
they say if it doesn't scare you, it's not big enough.
That's right. It says in the Bible, it talks about visualization, it talks about manifestation and creation. You have to visualize and put out what you want. It has to become a thought and a vibration first, and it goes into the universe and the world. And people, circumstances, happenstances, events will be pulled like a magnet to you if you hold that visualization. And here's the key. You gotta actually believe. There's a book called The Magic of Believing. Y'all should all read it. The Magic of Believing. You have to actually believe you can do it. I believed when I was 22 years old that I'd have this life. I believed it, and I psyched myself out, and I held that thought.
And we took action.
And we took it. You gotta take this shit. Yeah, you can't visualize it, and it just happens, right? But what you'll notice is if you take the visualization and you match it with action, strange shit starts happening in life because people's circumstances start happening. Right? People come in your life. There's no coincidence some of the stuff that's happened to me in my life. And who here's it happened to? I know some of you guys that's happened. You visualize something, you talk about it to your wife, and you gotta have conversations, and it's weird. The next day something happens. God puts people in your place. You understand? You gotta believe it. God ain't just gonna give it to you. He's gotta know you deserve it. And He wants you to put in the work. So stop just praying and not taking action.
Yep. What we say is God can't steer a parked car.
That's right.
So sometimes He's got to get you going one direction, only to turn around and do a U-turn and go back the right way.
I don't like lazy people. Sorry.
Yeah, about your part about believing. Mark 9 verse 23 says everything is possible for one who believes. That's what Jesus Christ said.
So, yeah. When you believe it gives it that horsepower. It gives that vibration, frees that horsepower. And everything is energy, folks. Everything is energy. If you understand that, you can think a lot better with this process right here. You're not just daydreaming for the sake of daydreaming. You're not visualizing for the sake of visualizing. You're not creating an ideal scene in your mind. just for the sake of doing it. That creates a vibrational frequency and pulls back the people, circumstances, and happenings. Who's ever read The Secret? Or The Secret? And there's a lot of truth in that. And if you say, well, that sounds hocus pocus, goes against this bullshit. The Bible talks a lot about this. They just say it in a different way that was pertinent to 2,000 years ago. It's the same shit.
Yeah.
It's just said differently.
Think and Grow Rich too?
Yeah, Think and Grow Rich. My favorite book is The Science of Getting Rich.
That's mine.
That's
Yes, sir.
I like
Yes, sir. I
it.
like
You're
that.
reading the same books I'm reading.
That's my favorite book of all time.
Yeah, I read that one probably once a year.
Yeah.
This is my Tim Grover.
There's a spiritual side behind building wealth too. You understand? I gave you the how-tos, but this man, I'm glad you brought up. Wendell brought up this, the science of thinking behind this. You got to think all this shit first.
Yeah.
Then you got to do it. I gave you the action in the physical universe first. Then I gave you the action in the spiritual universe next. And you match those things together, and you go, and you push, and it's going to be hard, and you're going to be tested, and you just keep pushing. And you keep educating yourself, and you're gonna have people betray you. You're gonna have people try to steal from you. You're gonna lose money. But it's okay. That's part of the journey. That's the entrepreneur God's testing you. Good luck.
Great way to end it.
Real quick for all of you guys. You'll stand.
It's off short. I'll see you.
6'1". Everybody's in? No. All right. Thank you all.
All right.